I have to do it without plenty of players, actually. There's a long list. I can look at them. Timber, Calafiore, Havertz potentially, Gyökeres mentioned, Martinelli, Madueke, Jesus, and then obviously Gabriel as well. And we've talked about that partnership, on this show several times about Saliba and Gabriel. Where does it, land for you? Is it right up there as the top centre-back?
It's getting there. Okay. I think the records, in terms of defensive records, the fact that in so many games, David Raya is a passenger and doesn't need to get involved because of those two and the players in front, I think is incredible to watch from the pair of them, and the development together, individually and together as a pair. I would hate to play against them. I think I would. You've got Gabriel, who would just be a nuisance, a Martin Keown type defender that just is all over you and is aggressive and physical, and then you've got the calm, Tony Adams type player in Saliba, who's rapid when he wants to be, can step out with the ball. It would just be a nightmare to play against for any player, and players are struggling to get into the game, let alone score goals against that centre-back pairing. So he will be missed, but what's been good for Arsenal is Mosquera's then come in and it's not really changed. And I know Calafiore and Timber and Ben, but they've all played centre-back, so that is not a position I don't think they have to worry about right now.
And is that what you were talking about earlier then, alluding to the fact that they have got so much strength and depth this season, it seems? This is why we're seeing a much stronger Arsenal this time around.
Because there was a visible drop-off last season and the season before when certain players were missing. There was the big drop-off. There was maybe a different mentality of, well, we can't win games when that player's missing or this player's missing. I just don't see that this season. I just see a big squad full of quality players that can all step in and keep the level where it needs to be in so many tough games in the Premier League.
But I wanted to start on his record against Spurs because he absolutely loves playing against Arsenal's North London rivals. It's 3 goals, 3 assists in his last 7 Premier League matchups against Spurs. He's only lost 1 game. He loves playing against Spurs. Just look, absolutely loves it. Brilliant. OK, to underline his importance to the Arsenal team as a whole, in the last 3 years, he's scored 39 goals and provided 30 assists, meaning that he has been involved in more than a quarter of Arsenal's goals since the start of the 2022 season. Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard are next on the list, just showing his importance to this Arsenal team. And then let's look at the best right-wingers in the world. Some might agree with this list, some might not. I asked a couple of people in the office that happened to be Palace fans. They wanted him on, Michael Olise. A couple of United fans actually asked for Anthony, but I vetoed that one. Michael Olise is first as well, alongside Lamine Yamal of Barcelona, Mohamed Salah of Liverpool and Arsenal's Bukayo Saka. This is how they compare in some of the key metrics since the start of last season. Now, Liverpool's Mo Salah dropped an all-timer, didn't he, last season? 33 goals. That has really propelled him to the front of the goals list, certainly. And you'd think, actually, Bukayo Saka had a couple of injury issues last year. If he'd had a fully fit year coming into this year, maybe he would be a little bit closer to at least Yamal and Olise, maybe even potentially closer to Mohamed Salah as well. But certainly it's Salah that leads the way on goals. Assists as well. The 4 of them actually a little bit close across the board. Olise just taking that one at the end for Bayern Munich. But again, maybe if Saka was fit, he might be a little bit closer to those guys as well. Chances created, Mo Salah way out in front on that one. In terms of take-ons completed, I mean, Lamine Yamal is the take-on monster here. 5 successful take-ons per 90, but it's Saka who has completed the most crosses. I've picked those as my best 4 right wingers in the whole of Europe, and I think Saka is definitely part of that conversation.
Know what it means for the men's team and the women's team and, of course, the people of North London. Why is the North London derby so special?
Yeah, I mean, having been to them, I mean, when I was playing for Arsenal, the Tottenham women's team were in the leagues below. Now, in the WSL, Arsenal are in 4th, Tottenham are in 5th, so there's that rivalry. I think, these two sides, they often just battle who can finish higher above each other, don't they? They're not focusing on even the league. They're just thinking, we need to finish above them. And to be honest, of all the atmospheres I've been in, Arsenal-Tottenham is definitely one of the most intense environments. I mean, you're talking police escorts from Highbury and Islington train station. The fans are going along with the horses and all that. And there's not an atmosphere quite like it. to be honest. My dad's a Gooner, so I've been to a number over the years, and the feeling, like the fans, they just love it so much. And, you know, for me, I've been to a lot of places all over the world and been part of a lot of rivalries, and this one's definitely up there.
We've just had a Wolves West Brom on there. We had Alfreton Town versus Mansfield Town. Keep these coming in. I love all of these, by the way. So you talk about the North London derby there, but you've never made any secret that you're a Manchester United fan. What about the Manchester derby? How does that compare?
Do you know what? For me, I've always felt like Liverpool were our biggest rivals. And then growing up, Man United fan and Arsenal, obviously proximity of Arsenal being in London compared to Man United, but I've always felt like they were our rivals. And some people will say, oh, you know, not anymore. I still feel the same. You know, my dad's a Gooner, so sometimes we'd go days without talking to each other. I loved playing for Arsenal. I spent 12 amazing years at that football club, but I, you know, breathe, wear my heart on my sleeve, eat, sleep, breathe Manchester United. So when I look at rivalries, I think because Manchester City have only kind of become that way in the last 10 years, maybe if I lived in Manchester, I might feel a little bit differently, but I've always felt like Liverpool were more of our rivals. And I've always felt like Arsenal, you know, growing up with the battles that Arsenal and Man United had with Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex and Vieira and Keane and those types of eras, they were my favourite times. But I think, you know, when I look at globally, you know, I played at Juventus, Torino. They were unbelievable. I lived in Cyprus where, you know, Apollon are playing Apoel when the games are getting abandoned because fans are throwing flames on the pitch. You know, and when I played for
obviously we don't like to see, but I can see what you mean. That kind of does make it sound, well, much more fierce.
No, it is. And you look at, like, even in the Netherlands, you know, Feyenoord in Rotterdam, like, you see that one bridge all the fans come across, like, there is this hostility there. And I think when you look at, like, when I played for Espanyol, I used to want to go and watch Barcelona play, and I made the mistake of posting a picture of myself at Camp Nou, and it was like, oh, I completely forgot that was an inspiration, because obviously it was during the time when Busquets, Messi, you know, and Iniesta were at Barca. I wanted to go to every single game. So then I just used to go and didn't post about it because it was almost like, you know, the Espanyol fans, I had to, it was kind of naive of me to think that wasn't a thing. But at the same time, like, I understood, you know, I'm an Espanyol player and I've gone to see Barcelona play and the fans didn't like it, and I get it.
I've known players who've played for Genoa and Sampdoria and their families, and there's certain restaurants in Genoa who are for, like, Sampdoria players can go there, Genoa players can't, and vice versa. When they first go there, they often make the mistake of doing that. So it's fierce all around the world, isn't it? There's a few there. I've seen some in Newcastle for quite a few people. There's one on the screen now. Loads for Portsmouth and Southampton as well. An old Firm, definitely. Loads for the Old Firm. We know how fierce that is. But what actually makes a derby stand out from the rest? You've talked there about police escorts, because from a fan's point of view, it's that as soon as the fixtures come out, you look for it, and you either look forward, stroke dread it for weeks, maybe even months in advance of that game. They are special, aren't they?
Yeah, and it also depends on how well the team's doing in the league, doesn't it? I mean, Manchester United of late, even when they've been underperforming, they seem to do well at the Etihad. They seem to do OK against Manchester City when I least would like to play against them. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I wish we weren't playing against them this weekend.
Liverpool a few weeks ago as well.
Absolutely. Like, I predicted on this show, didn't I, with you? I said to the fan, we're going to win head and heart. I can't back against Man United. I'm not biased, but I feel like to sit on here and say, oh, you know, we're going to lose against Liverpool, that goes against what I believe in. But I think what makes a good rivalry and a good feeling is sometimes proximity. But then again, you look at Everton-Liverpool, they've almost had a friendly rivalry over the years, haven't they? Their households are split. We've seen at Anfield where fans of Everton are sitting in the stands with. Do you remember there was that time where they all
it was
shared?
I think the friendly derby was how it was once.
And I don't think it's like that anymore, but I kind of like that because there are households that are split. There are some people that support Arsenal and Tottenham, but it's like a religion, isn't it? You know, my dad supports Arsenal, and they're like, Jeff, how did this even happen? That she supports Man United, but my uncle took me to a Man United game when I was 5. I fell in love with Eric Cantona. The rest is history. Yeah. They tried to change me at Arsenal all the time. I used to clean like Mark Overmars' boots, Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp is my favourite player ever outside of Man United, apart from Cristiano Ronaldo, as you know. But yeah, like they used to try and change me all the time, meet the players, but you can't change your team. And any ex-player will tell you, like, people say to me, I'd love to have ended my career at Man United, Tom. They announced they had a women's team the day I signed for Juventus. I'd have loved to have ended my career. I used to have dreams of playing at Old Trafford and playing for Man United, and they never had a women's team then. So, but a lot of male players support teams. You know, Darren Bent supports Arsenal. He played for Tottenham. Yeah. Doesn't mean you don't want to win.
Pickford makes no secret of it. It never do. Shearer didn't before he went back to Newcastle as well. Right.
last week on the show, and I know Shaka doesn't have a lot of faith in your percentages, but you gave us a 50-50% for either Arsenal or Manchester City after what we saw from them to win the title. So after what the news that we got from this international break, with the fact that Gabriel was in action with Brazil and now he's going to be out for at least a month, does that peg Arsenal back a bit now, or is it still 50-50 for you?
No, I think it's still 50-50. I think they've got players that can come in. I mean, no one's Gabriel for them. I think he's one of the most important players for Arsenal. But City have got a very tough game away at St James's Park against Newcastle. North London derby coming up for Arsenal. So I just think it's very, very early. The start that they've had has been magnificent. I think they have been flowing. The game against Sunderland was a hard-fought 2-2 draw, and I thought Sunderland deserved their point out the game. But you look at the fixtures coming up. I mentioned, London derbies for them, so that's where the difficulty is going to come. But there's so much time, and there's so many games to try and say, right, who's a standout favourite? I know it's what we like to do because as fans and as analysts and pundits, we try and predict the future, and we look into the crystal ball and we think, right, who's good, who's flowing, who's struggling a little bit. Take Liverpool completely out of the equation. I don't think they're ready for a title charge at all. So City, I think, it's a captain obvious shout what I'm going to say, but after this weekend we'll know that little bit more because, as I said, there's hard fixtures to come.
Hi, Captain Obvious.
Well, let's have a look at the Premier League standings there. Manchester City, they're in second, and as we know, they have chased down Arsenal before. Up next this weekend, they do have a nice little trip to St James's Park to face Newcastle. And if we have a look at Newcastle